Hey everyone, it's been a couple weeks. I know, life and work and all that, but I want to keep doing this when I am able because it helps me keep track of stuff that I want to watch, and I hope it helps some of you out there. So let's do it. Let's take a look at what is a pretty busy week in new horror movie releases. First up, on June 4th on VOD is The Hangman. To mend their troubled relationship, a middle-aged door-to-door salesman, Leon, takes his teenage son on a camping trip into deep rural Appalachia. Little do they know of the mountainous region's sinister secrets. This is directed by Bruce Wemple. He directed a movie called Monstrous, a movie I have seen the cover for, and it has decent critic reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. Very low audience score, though, so beware, I guess, if you're checking out Monstrous. It's also written by Bruce Wemple and LaJauwn Woods. This stars LaJauwn Woods and Lindsay Dresbach, as well as Jesse Holterman. This is a Dread original. I checked out the trailer for this, and it looks in line with those films as far as visuals and budget go. Direct-to-video style horror. Not an insult, by the way. It seems to be a supernatural slasher with some social commentary tossed in. It looks like a movie I will eventually end up watching on streaming if I watch it. I don't know which service Dread originals usually end up on. I think usually Tubi, maybe Screambox sometimes. It has 2 reviews as of now on IMDb. Karina Scream Queen Adelgard of Heaven of Horror says, "Before The Hangman is over, we've been through so many different styles. At one point, it felt like watching some sort of Rambo meets Ash vs. Evil Dead, which could be rather cool, yes, but it just isn't." So there you go. It seems like a mixed review at best of The Hangman. So keep that in mind. It is out on VOD June 4th. Next up, a movie that might be coming out on Netflix on June 5th. And I'll get into might later. But that is Under Paris. Sophia, a brilliant scientist, comes to know that a large shark is swimming deep in the river. This is written and directed by Javier Gens, also written by Sebastian Osher and Yannick Dahan. It stars Berenice Bejo, Nassim Lyles, and Ines Perello. I said I think this might be coming out on June 5th. I didn't get an update before recording this. Here's what The Hollywood Reporter had to say about this movie's release and why I'm saying might. Netflix's CN shark thriller Under Paris could be taken off the platform within days of its release on June 5th due to legal proceedings brought by a writer-director who claims it was developed without his knowledge from an original idea he registered with France's rights management body SACD in 2011. I hope it comes out. It's shark movie season. It's a big summer for Paris. French Open's going on. Cannes just happened. The Olympics are coming up. I've been watching The Interview with a Vampire Show, which is awesome, by the way. Check it out. I like Gens. He came out of the new French extremity movement of the 2000s. He's directed Frontiers, Hitman, The Divide, cheap plug. We covered that on the podcast, so you can find it on the feed. He just this year directed a movie called Mayhem, which is a pretty solid meat and potatoes B-action movie. I couldn't find any reviews of Under Paris as of this recording. The trailer makes it look like a lot of fun. In my opinion, it looks like a good shark movie. Normally I think these come out in July, but June works for me as well. Let's get Shark Month summer started early. But this will hopefully be on Netflix on June 5th. Next up in theaters on June 7th, the big release of the week, The Watchers. A young artist gets stranded in an extensive, immaculate forest in Western Ireland, where, after finding shelter, she becomes trapped alongside 3 strangers, stalked by mysterious creatures each night. This is written and directed by Ishana Shyamalan from a novel by A.M. Shine. This stars Dakota Fanning, Georgina Campbell, and Olwen Fourier, who has become like the Glenn Powell of horror movies. She's in everything these days, it seems. This is Ishana Shyamalan's debut feature. She has worked with her father in the past. She worked with him on Servant, Old, and now she's directing her first movie, The Watchers. I caught this trailer in front of In a Violent Nature this weekend. Cheap plug, our instant reaction is out now. It looks like a solid thriller, but I wasn't really grabbed by anything in the trailer. I am mainly interested checking this out to see how she compares to her father as a filmmaker, if I'm being honest. Reviews will probably start hitting this week, so keep an eye out. It is based on a novel by A.M. Shine. This was in a group read of a horror Goodreads group I belong to, but I haven't participated in way too long. It's Horror Aficionados on Goodreads, so check it out. I eventually would like to read this book, but the movie will be out in theaters this weekend. Next up on Tubi is another Tubi original. This is Clickbait Unfollowed on June 7th. A group of influencers are invited to a house for a competition with deadly consequences. This is written and directed by Melanie Scrofano and Catherine Barrell. I bring them up because they are two of the stars of Wynonna Earp, a show that I loved, and that I believe will be getting a follow-up movie soon that will be shown on, you guessed it, Tubi. I'm going to watch this, which leads me to a point I think I'm going to expand on in the podcast. Tubi, get better at marketing your movies. There is an audience for them. I am in that audience. I can't find a trailer, review, anything about this movie, and this is a trend for Tubi originals and exclusives, and I hate it. Lowlifes, same thing. Could not find anything about this movie. This stars two people of a show. It's a cult show, granted, but that feels right in the wheelhouse of the Tubi original audience, once again, which I am a part of. I will be checking this movie out. Clickbait Unfollowed, June 7th on Tubi. All right, and real quickly, there are two movies that I think are coming out on June 7th on VOD. I'm not sure. I didn't get confirmed. The website I use says they're coming out, and I couldn't find out on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes, which are usually my confirmation sites. The first one is Trim Season. A group of young people go to a remote marijuana farm where they hope to make quick cash, but they discover the location's dark secrets and now must try to escape the mountain on which they are trapped. This is directed by Ariel Vita. She worked as a production designer on two Benson and Moorhead movies that I really like, The Endless and Something in the Dirt. There are some reviews for this one. It played Fright Fest last year. Jonathan DeHaan of Nightmare on Film Street says it's an easygoing, slow ride that you could sink into the couch watching. It goes harder in the third act, but by then those blips barely register. The other movie that might be coming out on June 7th on VOD is Kill Your Lover. Dakota and Axel's once passionate relationship has become poisoned by resentment. As emotions boil over, Axel starts sprouting black veins and excreting an acidic liquid. I hate when that happens. His touch burns flesh, and a life and death battle ensues. Written and directed by Alex Austin, Keir Stewart. This stars Paige Gilmore. This played Fright Fest Glasgow earlier this year. Martin Unsworth of Starburst magazine said, a spot-on reflection and allegory of toxic relationships. Their debut feature is both powerful and disturbing. He gave it 4 stars out of 5. So keep an eye out for those two movies if they sound interesting to you. I think they'll be out this week. Who knows? All right, thank you everybody for watching. I know I had some cheap plugs earlier in this video, but I'll throw in a couple more. Our Mask of the Red Death podcast is out now. I think it's pretty good. It's a look back on Roger Corman's work as a filmmaker, and I think it's a nice dive into his most interesting, in my opinion, period as a filmmaker, and that is his post-cycle. We also recorded an instant reaction of In a Violent Nature. Willie and I sat down in a car, and as we drove back to our homes, we just talked about the movie for 20 minutes, and I think it's a fun discussion. I'm also working on an honor roll episode that is going to compare the directors of the new Evil Deads. There are 2 Evil Deads going into production, and I'm going to sit down. I watched the directors of both of those movies, their new films, and I'm going to compare, and I'm going to pick who I think will make the better Evil Dead movie. I'll try to do a better job of explaining it on that podcast as well. So there you go. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I will see you next time.